In today's video, we're going to be showing you how to make the best fire in your Breeo smokeless fire pit. You want to start with your materials. You need 3 categories of materials. You need your fire starter, you need your kindling, and you need your split cordwood. Some good examples of fire starter materials would be newspaper. Make sure you tear it up so there's lots of strands, and then you have a ball of newspaper that's got lots of oxygen flowing through it. Or cardboard in the same way. You can also use an over-the-counter natural fire starter, such as fatwood sticks or the ones that look like a little pine cone. Those work well as well. For your kindling, you're going to want to use a softwood. This could be untreated 2x4s or 2x6s that are split very thin. Any kind of very dry softwood is going to burn really well to transition your fire from the starting stage to the actual logs. For your wood, you're going to want to use hardwood, especially if you're cooking. You want it to be dry. Kiln dried is preferable, but just good dry hardwood that's split down to about a 4-inch diameter, and that'll work great for your fire through the duration of the burn. The fire starting method that we recommend is the log cabin fire starting method. And the reason we recommend that is it works great for our fire pits. It works great to have lots of airflow in the beginning stages of the fire, and also it makes a good stable base for cooking. So to start your log cabin, you take 2 pieces of wood, the actual split cordwood that you'll be burning at the later stages of the fire, and put them perpendicular to the X airflow to create the most possible amount of air movement around the logs. Next, you're going to put 2 pieces of kindling, so the pieces of softwood that we have split down, perpendicular to that to begin the walls of the log cabin. Once you've done that first layer of kindling, you're going to want to put your fire starter in the middle, and then continue to build up the log cabin using your kindling. Once the log cabin is completely built, you'll see your fire starter in the middle, you have your 2 logs at the bottom, and then you have your log cabin of kindling. All right, you've got your log cabin built. Now it's time to light your fire. We don't recommend normal matches to light your fire. We recommend long matches or a long barbecue style lighter, because you want to light your fire starter material at the bottom, not at the top. So you reach into the log cabin with either a long match or a long lighter and light your fire starter at the base, and that will create the airflow in the fire to build it up through the kindling and get your fire going great. All right, your fire is going, the flames are licking up through the kindling, and they're starting to get some nice height and some nice heat. You're going to want to add some smaller pieces of your actual cordwood soon to make sure that the flames really have a hold of the kindling and it's starting to blacken and break. You don't want to add the larger pieces of wood until that kindling is really going. Once you see it has real momentum and it's getting a great burn, start to add smaller pieces of your actual wood on top of that kindling. Your log cabin will start to shift and break apart, and you want to just keep adding these smaller pieces of cordwood to build out the fire, especially towards the perimeter of the fire. As your fire is burning, you don't want to add too much wood at one time. If you let the fire burn down to coals and then throw several pieces in at one time, it's going to generate smoke as the fire tries to get back up to the heat temperature to create the secondary combustion, which reduces the smoke. So it's much better to keep an even burn, adding 1 or maybe 2 pieces of wood at a time to keep the fire well fed. All right, you've had a great burn, a great time with family and friends around the fire, and now it's time to put the fire out. How do you do that? You don't want to pour water on the fire. What that's going to do is create a mess on your patio or outdoor living space. It's also going to stop the fire at a point that creates a lot more ash and more clean out. You also don't want to snuff the flames with a lid. It's going to cause your lid to warp, and it's not good for your fire. The recommended way to put out the fire is just let the fire burn out. If it's going to be unattended, we recommend putting a spark screen over top of it while it's burning down. That way it's safe and there aren't embers getting out. As the coals burn down, they'll burn to a fine ash in the bottom of the fire pit as it burns out, and that will make cleanup much easier for your next fire because there'll be much less ash in the bottom of your fire pit, and it also doesn't create a mess. So the recommended approach to put out your fire is just let it burn out in a safe environment, covered with a spark screen if it's going to be unattended. Those are some tips that we've found to work best for starting, managing, and putting out your fire.